Well, I don't think we're going to solve the question of the daycare system fraud question. I guess that continues.
What can we solve? I mean, I really want to get on top of something here.
I don't think you and I are solving much anything, but we're having a great discussion.
That's what matters, yeah.
So let's talk about state-funded research for agriculture. Viewer notes that this week the World Pork Expo for 2019 was canceled due to concerns of African swine fever. If this disease arrives in the United States, it would be devastating, and particularly for Minnesota. This viewer thinks we should be fully funding the diagnostic lab at the University of Minnesota to deal with that issue. Is that issue on anybody's radar screen? Has there been discussion about that?
Yeah, on the Ag Committee, we talk about that kind of stuff. I agree. There's two things that I think I struggle with agriculture. One, I don't think we listen to the farmers enough. They're the most pragmatic folk I know, and they're about simple problem solving more than anything. And two, I think that when we look at what the University of Minnesota, not to go back to my old harping point, but this is a great example of where they can play a big role like they did with invasive species. Minnesota still has the infrastructure and the things in place where we can really protect ourselves and get ahead of that if that becomes a problem. I actually don't know how relevant the swine flu situation is that way, but I would be really nervous about making sure that we begin to understand that we're operating on a global plateau, not just in the country, and Minnesota can do many things to protect itself with the university and other things. Now, that is all couched in the idea that this problem is actually substantiated, and I'll tell you that I've not heard a ton about this problem this committee year, so I'm not sure that I would, I would only say that that's something we should do if this is an imminent issue we have to worry about. I don't want to just go create diagnostics if we're not concerned about it,
I don't have a lot of hog farmers in my district. I was a hog farmer at one time.
Really?
We don't really have, so I don't have most of my jurisdiction, or not my jurisdiction, my district that I represent are dairy farmers.
Oh, okay.
But I've got concerns about all of that. We got to prevent, we had the avian flu and the turkey problem. So there's issues out there, and we need to address, and I think if we do the same type of precautions we do with the turkey farms, and we do that and apply that to the rest of our farms, I think we'd be pretty well, we'd take that same thing and apply it to the other types of industries that we have in the ag industry. I think we'd be successful.
I think what this person might be speaking to specifically, if I can go into the weeds for a second, is that, like when it comes to chronic wasting, the diagnostic problems we have in getting that done. And I think if I read your thoughts correctly on this, it was making sure that we have the kind of things in place to identify quickly and react fast. And that part we probably should beef up. But I agree, we do a pretty good job with that. And let me tell you, I don't think anybody should mess with their bacon. So I'd be really concerned about that.
I love bacon.
There you go.